So, when you go into the gym and personal trainers judge you, the reason why they're doing that is again that you don't have that. Usually, people they make fun of are going to be the people that ignore help and refuse to take it and are doing something ridiculously stupid in the gym. So there was this one guy that came in a while back. I guess it was before I went to Maine, actually. And this guy would get a physio ball, and he would put his back on it like he's about to do physio ball crunches, and he'd just roll back and forth over his midsection, and then he'd flip over so he's on his belly and do the same thing. And that was his entire workout that he did. Every time he came in, 5 days a week, that's all he ever did. He wouldn't get on it. He wouldn't get on a cardio piece of equipment. He wouldn't pick up a single weight. And every single personal trainer went up to him and asked him, "What is he trying to do here?" And he was always rude about it. And he said, "Well, I'm trying to get rid of the belly fat, so that's why he's kind of rolling back and forth on this ball." And you know, we had 22 trainers on staff. Every single one of us talked to him. And every single one of us told him that's not how that works, and he just would not hear it. So you go and you watch gym fails on YouTube, and you'll see exactly what not to do. Right? If you're not doing something overtly stupid, nobody's gonna make fun of you for it. Right? If you're doing push-ups, squats, deadlifts, you're doing TRX exercises, and you're doing it with the cleanest possible form that you can do. And again, check out my exercise library that I have posted here. It's going to be continually growing, and that's going to give you a rundown of how to do pretty much most common exercises that you're going to find out there. The other one I'd recommend you going and doing is going to be run by Jeff Cavaliere, who runs Athlete X, and so you can find that on YouTube. It's just Athlete X, and his videos a lot of time are a little bit misleading when you read the titles of them, because they'll show a common exercise and tell you that this is the worst exercise ever, and then in the video he'll show you why it's a great exercise, you're just doing it wrong, and he shows you the correct way of doing it. And a lot of times he actually breaks down the science of it. And the reason why I like him, and I don't like most internet trainers like that, is that a lot of them are posting things that are not the right way of doing things. They're showing you exercises like upright rows and whatnot, and shrugs that are going to destroy your shoulders. So, Jeff Cavaliere is probably one of the few people I see on there that is really, really grounded in exercise science. And if you guys saw the nutrition workshop that I did, when we a lot of people, like, their beliefs when it comes to nutrition, just like with exercise, are based on like a little study here, or old dated information that people swear by, and they're kind of what Bill Maher would call zombie lies. Not that I watch Bill Maher anymore, but a zombie lie is one that something that came out a long time ago and just refuses to die. And so that's kind of why I kind of recommend his channel. He goes over pretty much any exercise you would ever need to know, and he does it in great detail, and everything that he says is scientifically based. I don't always agree with him, but he's often like right on point. And like the disagreements I have with him are like on minor technicalities and my own personal experience. But that's whatever. You don't need to know about that too much. So one thing that we're going back onto to motivation a little bit more. So when you're in the gym, guys, don't worry about what other people think about you. If you don't know, ask somebody. Right? A lot of times, personal trainers, if you walk up to them in most gyms, hopefully, and you ask them, "Will you show me how to use this piece of equipment?" or "I'm not sure about my squat form. Would you help me with that a little bit?" They're going to help you. And part of the reason why they're going to do that is, for one, they're bored. And two, because they see you as a potential client. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but when you ask them for their expertise on one thing here or there, you're starting to build a rapport with them, and they want to build a rapport with you because eventually they want to sell you training sessions. And really, in my opinion, you should buy the training sessions. Right? Even personal trainers have personal trainers, and the reason why is because we can't always see ourselves, and they're going to see things that are wrong, that you're doing a little bit off that you can improve on, and you're going to find that your gains are going to come a lot faster, even if you do just like 5 sessions with them when you're really set on your exercises. But also, they help prevent you from building bad habits. So one of the things that, and I think this is kind of a little bit of a lie here, is that my mom has taught me that we shouldn't have social safety net programs, because if you're comfortable, people will never change. But if you put a flame under people's feet to get them to move, frankly, when people are in a bad situation, right? Like they live in poverty, they have issues. Like a lot of times what it's like is that you are standing in the middle of a forest fire and you are looking around and you're just completely surrounded by fire, and it's just coming in closer and closer and closer, and you, as far as you can see, there's fire. Are you going to run through the fire to try to escape? No. No, you're probably going to stay right where you are. So if you're drowning and you were literally in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you're probably not going to try to swim forever and ever. Eventually you're just going to get tired and you're going to give up. And so that's kind of what happens when we are kind of focusing on all the negatives, and we get into this mindset of futility. And that's going to be something that's going to prevent us from getting to whatever goal that we put out there. And so that's basically what I just described is depression, right? Depression is a lot of times this feeling like you can't control the things around you that are bad, and so you just stop doing anything. And a lot of times we're not even aware of it. I don't know if you guys know about this, but I've recently become medicated on Wellbutrin, and I was getting to the point in my life where I was just sitting at the computer watching YouTube videos all day and not going anywhere with anything. And part of this was my falling out with personal training for a while there. And I didn't realize that was depression, right? I didn't feel sad most of the time, but I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't moving because I kind of accepted that I was kind of stuck where I was at. So when we're looking at all the different things that we are saying about, why aren't we going to the gym? Why aren't we going to jiu-jitsu practice? Why aren't we practicing wrestling on the regular? Well, we have all these negatives that we're piling on, and they're feeding into this idea that we are stuck where we are. Even when we say something like, why should we exercise? Well, I'm not attractive, or I'm too fat. Well, because you're saying, well, I'm too fat, therefore I should exercise, you're focusing on this negative that you may not be subconsciously feeling like you can actually overcome that. You've identified as being fat, and therefore you're not going to go out and you're not going to do anything about it because you're focused on that negative and it's become part of your identity. So we are, when we're focusing on anything that's negative, guys, even if it's something that's supposed to be kind of motivating us towards a positive, like you take a photo of yourself and you stick it on your bathroom mirror of you at your fattest state, right? That might not motivate you from getting to where you want to be. You can post, a picture of the hottest guy you think that's just fucking shredded onto your mirror, and that's not going to motivate you. Why? Because you're not that person. And in your mind, you're never going to be that person. And so when we're looking at ways to find motivation, we need to be picking apart things that are pushing us towards that goal, that are showing us progress. So if we are going to use photos, I would recommend in the beginning, if you are trying to go for weight loss or trying to go for muscle gain, you do take a photo once a month, okay? And when you take your photo, you step on the scale that one time, right? And it's at the same time of the day, with the same conditions as much as you possibly can. I usually do it right before I shower at night. And once a month you step on the scale, but not more than that. Once a month you take a picture of yourself as naked as you're comfortable with, and you create a little photo diary, right? And you don't necessarily look at it, but in 4 to 6 months, when you're feeling discouraged, compare the photo from month 4 to month 1. Compare the weights from this and this, and you're going to find that hopefully, if you've been consistent, that there's going to be change there. So that's going to remind you that you're on the right path, right? So we're not trying to move away from this thing, and we're not trying to move towards this thing. We are trying to make visible progress as we go along. But again, that beginning is going to be one of the hardest parts. So what would I recommend for that? Well, one of the things is you have a training partner that pulls you along and gets you to go and do what you need to do. Another thing is like hiring a personal trainer, doing something that's going to make you being there something that is outside of your control, right? You're still in control. You can say no, but you are going to feel more guilty about it because there's somebody else that you have to be accountable to, and so that's going to help. We've kind of gone through this, so I've got kind of my little checklist here at the end, and I think this is about as far as I need to really go with this part of the workshop. So for decades, we tell you to get realistic goals and well-defined, that are well-defined and obtainable. We want you to recognize on progress as it happens and celebrate change. And these are good things right here. All too often, people still don't show up. Then we focus on figuring out why your goal is important to you. The hardest question, though, is why do you want to come in every single day? Why are you not giving 100%? What is really holding you back? And that's going to be on our next video here. But so what should we do? We should be taking stock about how we feel about exercise or body training or whatever, and being around other people. We need to keep track of how we feel, guys. So one of the things, especially when it comes to like nutrition or exercise or whatever, we focus on how we feel in the moment when we're eating a food that may not be as tasty as the junk food that we're eating, or we focus on, okay, I don't like being winded when I'm exercising. I don't like that feeling of that point of failure. So track how you feel on a day-to-day basis, guys. Maybe you're spending less time on the toilet because you're eating healthier, right? Maybe you have less indigestion. That goes away. You don't burp as much. You don't fart as much. You don't have acid reflux, and that kind of goes away. When you go to the gym, or your friend asks you to go for his bachelor party to a trampoline park, and you don't get winded when everybody else is getting winded, right? Well, because you've been putting in that work. So when you feel like those things pop up that are like, oh, these are positives that I'm noticing, those are going to be the things that keep you motivated and keep you going. So how do you feel the next day, right immediately after the workout, throughout the week? And find ways to look forward to your workout, right? So for a long time, the only time I saw my best friend was when we would go in and we work out together. Maybe you get into the zone because you're listening to your favorite music when you work out. Maybe because you find that your job is stressful and you go in and you can just forget about the world when you're doing your workout. And then you get kind of high at the end and you're just like, oh my God, I just feel so good. All that stress that I have is just lifted off my shoulders. I probably wouldn't listen to an audiobook, but playing a sport. So again, guys, we're here because we all love wrestling, right? So being involved in a sport, that's your workout, right? So if you are playing soccer, you're wrestling, or you're doing swimming or whatever, and it's something that you really, really enjoy, and that competitive aspect keeps you going, great, do that. Learning how to dance, guys. This is, I think, something that's really, really underrated in our country because men don't dance. But learning ballroom dancing, learning swing, learning ballet, tap, jazz, whatever gets you going, that might be a great skill that just kind of gets you to not focus on the cardio aspects of it, right? So when you're doing a sport, when you're doing learning how to dance, you're learning a technique, you're learning how to kickbox, whatever you're doing, guys, you're focusing on the competitive element, you're focusing on the social element, you're focusing on something else other than the fact that you're fucking winded as hell and you are completely miserable in that moment, because the fact of the matter is that you are you're meeting that end without thinking about meeting that end. And by the way, playing basketball, playing soccer, these are even tennis to a certain extent, right? These are sports that are basically interval training, right? You sprint a bit, then you stop. Then you sprint a bit, and then you stop. And so it could actually be one of those things that builds up your endurance really, really fast. And especially if you are a wrestler, like playing basketball with your friends, I think that's a very healthy thing for you to do. Learning how to swim, racing your friends in the swimming pool, those are great things for you to do. You can make it social. You can, by not just having a workout party, but maybe you do group training. So if you are newer and you want to go do Les Mills, great. A lot of gyms now have more progressive programs, like 24 Hour Fitness had TC24, which I was one of the teachers for. So that's something that you can build up and build up and build up. And if you have a good trainer, they're going to recognize where you're at, and they're going to progress or regress the exercises as you need, so that you're always getting further. Developing a skill like a martial art, we kind of covered that. Make your workouts into something bigger. So you could be like saying, okay, I'm going to work towards a marathon. One of my partners does the STP, so Seattle to Portland bike ride every year. So he trains going up to that every year for about 2 or 3 months going into that, because he knows he has to have the endurance to do that. Saying that I'm going to be working towards a tournament, guys. We've talked about a lot in the Telegram chat about the Sin City wrestling tournament. And I know Wrestlers Without Borders does little tournaments, Triangles Everywhere. I believe does, well, they do meetups, and they might actually do tournaments as part of that. So, so there's benefits to that as well. One thing that my best friend and I used to do all the time was we'd place bets with each other, which is just like us saying, okay, this is what we're going to accomplish by this time, and if you don't accomplish this, you do this for me, and if I don't accomplish this, I do this for you, right? And if we both do it, this is what we do for ourselves together. So it was, we set an end date, we would say what our goals were, we made them obtainable, and then we worked towards them. So that's the first video, guys. We're going to move on here in a second, and yeah, I hope that was helpful.